So here's just a reminder of how the Italian clubs wrapped up their league phase in the Champions League and in the Europa League. None of them were able to crack the top 8 in the Champions League. Napoli being eliminated entirely. We've got more on that in just a second. But Roma, they did secure a top 8 finish in the Europa League despite being a man down. And Bologna, they'll head to take on a team after the playoffs where they'll await the winner of either Roma, Bologna or Brann, Genk or Dinamo Zagreb, if that makes sense. We've got the brackets come in just a moment, but let's just talk about Napoli for a second, Marco, because we were obviously talking about it midweek with the Champions League. Is it an embarrassment for you that the reigning champions are out in that style at this point of the competition? 100%.
There's no other word to use than failure. For sure. And you don't get Antonio Conte to win the Champions League. And I know after he came out and he said, oh, you need only the 5-6 teams win Champions League. You need 2.5 teams. I'm not asking you to win the Champions League. I'm asking you to go through in the top 24 of a very favorable Champions League phase draw. If you look at the last 25 years of Italian football where a Serie A team has won, there's only 2 teams that have ever gone out in the first round of Champions League. Both were coached by Antonio Conte. So this is clearly his Achilles heel. And I actually think the game against Chelsea was one of their best games that they've played. But they didn't lose it there. Yeah. They lost it against PSV. They lost it against Eintracht Frankfurt, where they couldn't score a goal. If you look at Frankfurt's numbers, only Kairat Almaty have a worse defense than them. And the game against Copenhagen, where they were up a goal, total control, up a man as well. So it's not the last game. The last game, we kind of all understood that they needed things to go their way.
They were also up in the last game, too. To add insult to injury, they also could have managed the 2-1 better as well.
But to lose against Chelsea with all your guys out, I think they played a really good match. You know, then there's a penalty against them. It's not there. It's before that you're disappointed in their approach. And I'm just surprised in the lack of growth from Antonio Conte. I thought after all these years that he's been out, he would try to change something. I thought having 8 games would be his way to try to find new solutions. Yes, the injuries play a part. I agree. But you didn't have all your guys injured in the first game. So no other word to use than failure.
It's so true. It really was lost before that result. And they actually played okay, didn't they, in phases of that game. Here's just a reminder then of what the teams in Italy will face in the next round, because we mentioned none of them in the Champions League managed to go straight into the top 8, which means they've got knockout playoffs still to come. It's Galatasaray, Juventus, Dortmund against Atalanta. Inter have got to go to the Arctic Circle to take on Bodø, Glimt, and then it's Brann, Bologna and Jagiellonia against Fiorentina in the Conference League. Grella, of all of these, you were just saying it's pretty favourable in terms of the Italian teams.
I think it is, aside from Atalanta, Borussia Dortmund, because they have a lot of experience in the competition, second in the Bundesliga, a team that plays really good football, a team that has good values, good identity. They know exactly what they're going to do, how they're going to do it. So I think that's the most difficult one. The rest of them, I think, are favourable. When you think about Inter, Bodø, okay, fine, it's difficulty going to Norway and stuff like that, but Inter will have too much for them, I think, in the long run. You have to be careful, obviously. They're a team that deserves a lot of respect. They've beaten big teams bad. They've had that in their history. Italian teams, especially what they did to Roma.
And they've shown it's difficult to play there on the turf.
Lazio last year, too.
Yeah,
Roma
Lazio,
too,
they beat pretty good. And Juventus, Galatasaray, I just think Galatasaray away from home is struggle. I think they struggle in different aspects of the game. I think they'll struggle with the physicality that Juventus bring to the table and the athleticism that Juventus have. So I like all of them except for the Atalanta, Borussia Dortmund.
Yeah, look, the yellow wall is not going to be easy to go to, right? It hasn't been, and this is a team that's been in Champions League in the final in the recent past, right? So that'll be that might be the most open of them, right? When you look at those two teams, Dortmund gives up goals. We've seen that over the past. Although they have tightened things up a little bit this year, Atalanta wants to attack. They look a little bit better under Palladino. The Juve one is really interesting because going to Istanbul is never easy. You play one of those 3 big teams, and this Galatasaray side clearly have a world-class goal scorer that understands Italian football, right, in Osimhen. But like you mentioned, I think when you get back to play in Torino at Juve Stadium, it's going to be difficult because they've been so bad on the road. But in general, I think Italian teams, as we're talking about, will look at this draw as favorable, at least in Champions League.
Who do you think will go the furthest, Marco?
I think really for the Italian teams, it depends on the draw. it's just the reality of the situation, but Inter is an obvious answer. Also, I was looking at Juventus's path. Juventus's path forward could be a favorable one in terms of where they fall on the side. And I think with Spalletti's football, it's a little bit more adapt for what you want to do in European football. But this is also Italian teams. They went out to PSV and Feyenoord last year, Milan and Juventus.
True.
So you can't overlook any team.
And Roma, how about Roma getting into the top 8 of the Europa League despite Mancini getting sent off as well, overtaking Bologna in the table. So a lot to look forward to with the Champions League. Let us just remind you as well, you can get ready for the knockout stage like never before with the Champions League bracket games. You can create a pool against friends or compete for a chance to win a dream trip to London. Plus, see how you stack up against UCL Today's very own Jamie and Micah. You can sign up now before brackets are unlocked after the round of 16 draw. Visit cbssports.com/UCL bracket or play on the CBS Sports app.